History books are filled with famous battles: Stalingrad, Waterloo, Gettysburg. But what about the conflicts so vast, so bloody, they defy belief, yet remain shrouded in obscurity? Today, we're uncovering the bloodiest battles almost no one talks about. Let's start in the 13th century, with a name that should be as famous as Genghis Khan, Subutai. He was the Mongol Empire's greatest general, and his invasion of Europe was a masterclass in military strategy and sheer brutality. In 1241, at the Battle of Mohi in Hungary, Subutai faced a European army twice the size of his own. King Belafor of Hungary had assembled a massive force of knights and soldiers, confident in their numbers and heavy armor. Subutai used a classic Mongol tactic, a feigned retreat. A small Mongol force engaged the Hungarians at a bridge over the Sayo River, then pretended to break and run. The overconfident European knights charged after them, abandoning their fortified camp and breaking their formation. It was a trap. The moment the Hungarian army was spread out and disorganized on the open plain, Subutai's main force, which had secretly crossed the river elsewhere, sprung from hiding. The Mongols encircled the entire Hungarian army. What followed was not a battle, but a slaughter. For 2 days, Mongol horse archers rained arrows down on the trapped soldiers. It's estimated that between 40,000 and 70,000 Hungarian and allied troops were killed. The entire royal army of Hungary was annihilated in a single engagement. Europe was left wide open, saved only by the unexpected death of the great Khan Gadai, which forced the Mongols to return home. Now, let's jump forward to the 16th century, to the Siege of Malta in 1565. This was a true clash of civilizations. The massive Ottoman Empire, under Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, sought to crush the Knights of St. John, a small Christian military order that was a thorn in his side. Suleiman dispatched an enormous invasion fleet, nearly 200 ships, carrying over 40,000 elite soldiers, including the fearsome Janissaries. Their target was the tiny island of Malta, defended by just 600 knights and around 8,000 local troops and mercenaries. The odds were impossible. The Ottomans expected to conquer the island in weeks. Instead, the siege lasted for almost 4 months of relentless, brutal fighting. The knights, led by their 70-year-old Grand Master, Jean de Valette, fought with incredible ferocity. They defended a series of forts, most famously Fort St. Elmo. This small, star-shaped fort was expected to fall in days. It held out for 31 days. When it finally fell, nearly all of its 1,500 defenders were dead. The Ottomans had lost 8,000 men just to take this one position. The brutality was shocking on both sides. The Ottoman commander, enraged by his losses, had the decapitated bodies of the captured knights floated across the harbor. In response, Grand Master de Valette ordered all his Ottoman prisoners to be executed and their heads fired from cannons back into the Turkish camp. The fighting continued, a grueling battle of attrition under the searing Mediterranean sun. By the time a small Spanish relief force arrived, the Ottoman army was decimated by combat and disease. They had lost an estimated 30,000 men and were forced to retreat in failure. The knights had lost a third of their number, but they had saved Malta and halted the Ottoman advance in the central Mediterranean. Let's shift our focus to the New World, and a war that shaped the United States, but is rarely discussed in detail. The Paraguayan War, also known as the War of the Triple Alliance. From 1864 to 1870, the small, landlocked nation of Paraguay fought against a powerful alliance of Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay. At the start of the war, Paraguay was a relatively prosperous and militarized nation under the dictator Francisco Solano Lopez, but it was vastly outnumbered and outgunned. What followed was one of the most devastating conflicts in modern history. The war was characterized by immense battles and catastrophic losses. The Battle of Tutti in 1866 is considered the single bloodiest battle in South American history. In just a few hours of fighting, Paraguay lost around 13,000 men, killed or wounded. While the Allies suffered around 4,000 casualties, the war dragged on for years, turning into a desperate struggle for national survival for Paraguay. As the army was destroyed, Lopez conscripted children and old men. Boys as young as 8 were given fake beards to make them look like adults and sent to the front lines. The war didn't end until Lopez himself was killed in battle. The result for Paraguay was beyond catastrophic. The country was utterly destroyed. It's estimated that the war, through combat and disease, killed up to 90% of Paraguay's male population. The nation was reduced to a land of women, children, and the elderly. It took generations for Paraguay to recover from a conflict that effectively erased a nation from the map for a time. Finally, we turn to the Eastern Front of World War II, a theater known for its scale and brutality. But even here, some of the largest battles are overlooked in the West. We all know Stalingrad, but what about the battles of Arjed-Have? This wasn't a single battle, but a series of brutal Soviet offensives between 1942 and 1943 aimed at pinching off a German salient near Moscow. The Germans called this area the Urzev meat grinder, and for good reason. For over 15 months, the Red Army threw wave after wave of soldiers against heavily fortified German positions in the dead of winter. The fighting was horrific. Soviet soldiers, often poorly equipped, were ordered into frontal assaults across open snow-covered fields, directly into the fire of German machine guns and artillery. The conditions were appalling, with temperatures dropping far below freezing. The goal was simple: to bleed the German army dry, no matter the cost. And the cost was staggering. While exact figures are still debated by historians, it's estimated that the Soviet Union suffered over 1 million casualties killed, wounded, or missing in the struggle for Urzev. Some estimates go as high as 2 million. That's more casualties than the United States and Britain suffered in the entire war, combined all in one series of operations for one small piece of territory. For decades, the Soviet Union suppressed the true scale of the losses at Urzev, as it was seen as a strategic failure. It was a victory of attrition, but one bought at an almost unimaginable price in human lives. From the plains of Hungary to the islands of the Mediterranean, from the jungles of South America to the frozen fields of Russia, history is filled with these forgotten epics of human conflict. They serve as a stark reminder that the stories we know are just a fraction of the story of our past, and that the price of war is often far greater than we can ever truly comprehend. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more dives into the hidden corners of history.